You've got big projects to tackle, but your day gets swallowed up by repetitive tasks and constant inquiries. It's hard to make progress when you're stuck putting out fires. That's where Element 451's AI assistants come in. Acting like an extra set of hands, you get your time back for the high-impact projects. Ready to reclaim your time? Visit element451.com/AI team to learn more.
Welcome to AI for You. Today's use case is all about role-playing. There are so many times in our lives where we need to have difficult conversations or discussions, and it would be helpful to prepare and practice before we actually engage. I like to use pi.ai, that's P-I-A-I, which is an app you can download on your phone. I use this all the time when I'm driving to simulate things like questions I might get after a presentation, discussions with leadership when I want to present new ideas. You could use it to prepare for a job interview, find out what a potential audience might think about a piece of content or a new initiative. Pi.ai tends to be more emotionally sensitive than some other generative AI tools, and the voice interaction makes it very simple to use hands-free. I typically start off by telling the tool that I want to role-play a situation, and then I give it as much detail as I can about the person I'll be talking with, what the conversation topic is, what objections and perspective they might have, their demeanor, all sorts of things. You can also upload files, like a job description or presentation script, for example, and then just start the conversation. And when you're done, you can ask the tool for feedback. And then when you stop, you've got the entire transcript of the discussion in the tool. As always, the full prompt will be in the show notes for this episode. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Bart Caylor. I get so much value from Bart's content and his show, the Higher Ed Marketer Podcast. Bart is the president and founder of Caylor Solutions, where he consults with education institutions on branding, marketing, digital solutions, and AI. Let's jump right in. Welcome to AI for You, the go-to podcast for higher ed professionals looking to integrate AI into their daily work. I'm your host, Brian Piper, the Director of Content Strategy and Assessment at the University of Rochester. Join me every other Thursday for practical uses of AI within higher education communications, marketing, and student engagement. We'll focus on ways to quickly integrate AI into your teams to increase your efficiency and effectiveness and help you optimize your workflows and processes. I'll interview experts and feature relevant use cases with the goal that every episode gives you at least one thing you can take away and start leveraging in your job today. AI for You is a part of the Enrollify Network, a robust collection of podcasts designed to help higher education professionals like you grow. Explore our other shows at enrollify.org. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the next generation AI student engagement platform helping institutions create meaningful and personalized interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com. Bart, thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Hey, Brian, it's a pleasure to be here.
So let's jump right into it. You've done a lot of consulting with higher ed around AI. Where do you see AI having the biggest impact in higher ed, whether marketing, enrollment, alumni, anywhere?
I'm obviously seeing a lot just in marketing because that's where I'm focused. But I would say that actually AI is going to touch everything. I mean, it's going to be a part of everything. It's going to impact everything. I actually have been teaching a certification class at one of the universities, Bethany College. And last night we had a conversation. One of the students wanted to talk through a use case about emotional intelligence. And so we went through and talked about the pi.ai, P-I-A-I, and it's a very emotive and very empathetic tool. So I just think even with student life, with all kinds of things, there's going to be tools that are going to be designed and LLMs that are going to be able to help any aspect of the higher ed, C-suite.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to see it ingrained in every job we do and every role that there is in some way or another.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw Paul Reitzer Marketing AI Institute just came out with a tool that you can put in your job description or job title, and it'll predict what the impact AI will have on your role.
I have not seen that. I'll have to take a look at that.
It's a custom GPT. It's pretty interesting. When you're working with these institutions, what are some of the biggest challenges that you see them facing when it comes to integrating AI?
There's probably two that I see really regularly. One is just the what I would call the fear and folded arms in the back row type of thing, where it's like, hey, I've been doing this for 30 years. I'm not about to change and get some new tool. I'm going to ride this horse till the end. And that's just not the way to think about it. I mean, it's this adversary, attitude that, hey, I'm not going to be a part of this, whether it's because they don't understand how these things work and there's misconceptions about it stealing content and things like that, or if it's just the fact that, quote, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And so I see that as one of the prevalent ones. And then the other one I see, which saddens me a little bit more, is the people who don't understand how much more it can do than just, rewrite my email or do a couple small things where it ends up being more like a parlor trick than it does an actual tool. So those are the two areas that I see the most happening, where there's either this just disdain for it or this underutilization of it.
For that first reaction, do you think that's more like fear of using the tool? Do you think it's change fatigue from everything that, that higher ed's going through? Or do you think it's more just the ethical issues?
I think it has more to do with the fear and the ethical issues. I think sometimes those are tied together in one and the same, because I think that if we have an ethical issue that we can't kind of settle for ourselves, it ends up being fear, or it gets pushed away because it's just something that we don't want to go there, or we don't want to think about it, or we don't have to make a choice or make a decision. And that's where I think that education, I mean, it's much like anything else. I mean, we all know the importance of education and the ignorance that sometimes comes without education. I think that's why AI literacy is so important, because I think that, without that education of what generative AI models are, what artificial intelligence is, what these tools actually do, what an LLM does and what it doesn't do, I think we can walk around with ignorance. And when we do walk around with that ignorance, we tend to either fall into the fear camp or the disdain camp. And so I think that one of the things that we find is that when we start our training, a lot of times we'll have people with that crossed arms in the back and just kind of with that attitude of disdain. But once we start unpacking it, they start understanding, it's like, okay, this isn't like Google. This is not going out and grabbing images and feeding me images that it saw. It's not Google image search. It is not like Google, where it's finding a piece of text and giving me that and kind of claiming it as something new. It's not scraping things. It's actually learning. They've instructed they've programmed these computers to be able to learn like humans learn. And so it's a lot more advanced and a lot more complex. And then I think once they start understanding that and realizing, okay, then the fear becomes more about understanding, the privacy issues and how these LLMs are building on our own things. But it removes it out of that sense of, I don't know what's going on, so I'm a little scared. It's that, everything's always been magic. Every technology is magic. I mean, when the Wright brothers flew their plane, it was magic. When Henry Ford had a, horseless wagon, it was magic. I mean, that's where we are right now. And so there's just a lot of misunderstanding.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice, that changing people's perceptions through education and awareness is one of the ways to overcome those barriers that so many people have around AI and those preconceived notions that they have about what it is.
Yeah.
What advice do you give to AI enthusiasts within institutions that are working for institutions that haven't really started exploring AI?
I really encourage them to start education. Again, start educating the leaders, start talking about it, start showing use cases. Sadly, I heard of somebody recently who said, yeah, I've got a friend who's in an education institution who's really using ChatGPT a lot, but he's keeping it under the covers because, one, he doesn't want more work, and two, he doesn't know if they're going to like it. And so those are the saddest times that I hear, because it's like, man, we've got this incredible tool, but nobody's actually using it because of the fear of, how am I going to be perceived? Is it, because I think education is one of the interesting verticals where the first way it was introduced was through cheating. And so there's a large percentage of the of the faculty and the university that are still under the understanding that ChatGPT is just for use for cheating. And so that is unfortunate, and it started that way. But I think if I were somebody in an institution that's sees the potential of it, sees the power of it, I think, having those internal conversations, and then unfortunately, and I see this all the time as a consultant, sometimes you have to bring in somebody from the outside to make a presentation. And all of a sudden that person is the outside expert, even though you've been saying the same thing for a very long time. It's the classic, a prophet has no honor in his hometown. And so you've sometimes have to kind of reach out and talk to somebody like myself or you or other people in the industry to come in and help explain it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting conundrum as a employee at an institution that also does some consulting is much different interpretation and weight given to your recommendations. So on the other side of that, for leaders in institutions who the institutions really haven't started figuring out how to use AI yet, what recommendations do you have for them to start getting their people on board?
I think what I've seen succeed the most is some structure. Putting some structure together, putting some training together, and whether you do that yourself, whether you bring in external partners to help you, or you go through some, shared training like on Coursera or something, being able to just be intentional, I think, is the key, and helping people just kind of ease into the water. So, I mean, if you go and you throw people in the deep end, they're going to either swim to the side or they're going to resent you. And so you've got to make sure that you kind of do it and you kind of be able to understand and read everybody's take on it, have a lot of conversations about it, have a lot of discussions about it. I think communication is key. And I think that as you start to explore that, also recognizing and understanding the different areas of your institution where that fear might be. So, to your point earlier, I mean, everybody knows that AI is going to change the way we work. It's going to change jobs. It's going to move some people that have to reskill into another part, or they're going to need to upskill into AI. And so I think a lot of people are still fearful that, hey, I'm a designer, I guess you don't need me anymore, or I'm a writer, do you really need me anymore? That's where it starts. And I think being able to show them that it's truly a tool that can enhance their work as opposed to something that's going to take away. I mean, humans are always going to be needed, and we're always going to be thinking about things. I love, there's a great Seth Godin quote where he talks about, if you're going to compete against AI, you're going to lose. But if you use AI as your tool, you're going to win, and you're going to be making, we're going to remove the chores, and our jobs are going to be decision-making and thinking things through and planning, and a lot of the higher types of creativity, as opposed to just checking off my tasks and doing the chores that we could allow a computer to do. Yeah,
absolutely. I really make a point to use AI to do the things that I don't really want to do anyway.
Exactly. I mean, that's the whole point, is freeing up some time to really go deeper on things that we are really good at and that we're blessed with.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk with a lot of AI experts on your podcast and just through your consulting and your work. What are some of the more interesting use cases of AI that you've seen in higher ed or even in other brands?
I think a lot of people understand the content role, and I think a lot of people are starting to get into the admin role. So being able to, look at job descriptions and create, questions for the for the interview. Those are kind of what I would kind of consider the 101 levels. Then I think when you start getting into some of the text to videos, text to image, I think that's still a little bit of a wild frontier because we don't know where copyright sits. We don't know where the boundaries are. It's a little bit fuzzy on the edges, but there's some pretty exciting things going on there. Some of the use cases I think are just kind of ideation and being able to kind of come up with new ideas for content. One interesting use case we did recently was we took the campus map of an institution, their brand guidelines, their messaging guidelines, and uploaded them to chat and said, rewrite our campus tour and make it 45 minutes and show us places that we need to stop along the way and the messaging that we need to say at that, and give us the outline for a script that a student could give the tour. And it came back and did a pretty good job. And it actually read the map and it understood the most efficient way around the campus. And so being able to kind of break out of our thinking of how might we, approach these things. We had another one where a use case where it was students weren't reading their email newsletters. They weren't reading the email. we're thinking about doing video, but we don't have the bandwidth to be able to do videos for these things. And so using a tool called Lumen 5, we were able to take the content in the newsletter, run it through their AI, and it basically put together a 30-second video that pulled out the highlights and had the B-roll already running in there, and you could go in and edit every last bit of it. But, within 3 minutes, we had the solution utilizing AI. And so there's a lot of things like that. I think another area that's really underutilized right now, and I think a lot of people are trying to figure it out because of the privacy issues. And that's where I'm really excited about what Vanderbilt's doing with the Algify with their team, where they're kind of putting a gated garden around Chad and Claude and a few other things. So the idea of being able to upload some of your data, being able to say, I want to have conversations with my data, as opposed to going to the slate captain or to the institutional effectiveness office and saying, I need this, and getting it back 3 weeks later, as opposed to just being able to, upload a CSV and say, what county in New York do we have the most nursing majors, the inquiries from? What in the last 5 years, where have the most cybersecurity students who've actually graduated come from in the nation? That's the kind of data and the kind of quick decisions that are going to be needed for a lot of, especially small to medium-sized schools who are skating pretty close to the edge of challenges. And so I think that these types of tools are going to help us make better decisions and quicker decisions that we can react and not wait a full enrollment cycle to make changes.
Absolutely. Those are great use cases. And I think when you did your walkthrough of the campus tour one, you said that you showed that to them and asked if that was the order that they would typically do it. And they said it was.
Yeah. So not even being on campus and just using a map, it blew me away.
Yeah. And the data, we are using AI to help go through so much data and pull insights from the data. It's really staggering the amount of time that we're saving and the amount of work that we can get done. There was 1 week that we did 3 months worth of work in 1 week and it was work that we just wouldn't have done normally because it would have been too time consuming. And now we have these huge repositories of data that then we can ask the AI to go look at and find insights and pull insights out of.
Yeah, I'm doing a capital campaign for a project for a client right now. They're getting ready to build a new nursing facility. And I asked them, do you have quotes? Do you have comments? Do you have videos? And they said, well, and it's a smaller school. And they're like, well, we have a board presentation that we kind of had somebody record and live stream for us. And there was somebody who said something that one of the students was really emotional and it was pretty powerful. I said, get me that video. And so I got the video, edited it down, uploaded it to, I think there's a new tool. I forget what it's called. It's like AI Audible or something. It's a audio tool. I was able to kind of make it sound like it was studio recorded, and then take that into Opus Clips and be able to just do the small, it framed in on the student and upscaled the content. So all of a sudden, what you think is just throwaway content that, we can't really use that. 5-10 minutes later, you've got something you can really use that can be powerful that you can, turn into a lot of different types of evergreen content.
Absolutely. The ability to enhance and really repurposing and redistributing content is one of the huge things because, we have so many audiences, so many channels that we need to put content out on. There's no way that we can manage all of those with limited resources, but these tools really give us the opportunity to broaden our audiences, our channels, our reach.
Yeah. I will say one thing that I would give a recommendation, because I've heard this come up a couple times, even with some schools that are really large. How much does this tool cost, Bart? It's $20 a month. And we just don't have that in the budget. I'm like, let's find somewhere in the budget that we can do this, because that just isn't the right answer. We need to reassess and remove things around. So again, don't let these tools pass you by because it's $20 is not in the budget. Take down a billboard and get some tools. That's everybody knows I'm a big fan of billboards. So
yeah, well, some people really like to see those billboards up as they're driving into work. Yeah, fantastic. When you're doing these workshops and you're doing these like step-by-step walkthroughs to people and showing them the prompts, what sort of reactions do you typically get from the participants as you're walking through?
Some of it is kind of like wonder, and I never thought of it that way, or wow, I didn't know it could do this, or man, this is so much more than I ever imagined. I did a use case last night for my class, and this person, we walked through it. He said, I have this idea. And it's a for a business, B2B business. And apparently they have 50 people on staff that do this rote type of analyzing these reports, combining these reports into another thing. It's a very formatted type of thing, a very, very predictable pattern. And he said, I'm just wondering if AI could do this. And so about 10 minutes later, we had the proof of concept. And he was like, oh my gosh, that's 50 people that we are paying to do this 40 hours a week. And you're telling me you can create a custom GPT, and yet you're even telling me that I could just do this in Zapier, and every time they hit a file folder, it would run the script and then put it in another place that we need it. I said, yeah. I said, I mean, it's time to reskill those people to other ways and grow your business. But that's the kind of thing where it's sometimes it's unbelievable how much you can do, but that's back into the power of using it over and over again. As you and I both know, I mean, we're 18, 20 months ahead of everybody else. It's just using it and practicing it and looking at it and seeing that, oh, wow, what if I did this? And being curious. And all of a sudden, you can do a lot of amazing things. And so those are the responses I get, is just amazement and a lot of just, I never knew it could do that.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, we're so early into like the generative AI technology, like publicly available generative AI technology. And we're still learning like the capabilities and what it can do. What do you think is next? What do you think the next year is going to bring in the AI landscape?
I think the next year I think we're unfortunately going to have some brakes applied, because I think that somebody's going to do something very silly and stupid, which I've already seen people skating toward the edge with deep fakes and with other things. I mean, just the Elon Musk repost the other day of the Kamala Harris video is a problem that I think is going to get a knee-jerk reaction that's going to affect what we're trying to do with these tools, because it's going to be a knee-jerk reaction on a lot of people who want to shut things down, slow things down, put on the brakes, who are misinformed and don't understand everything about it. So I'm worried about that, and then certainly, the whole strawberry rumors and things about ChatGPT 5, that's going to come. If that comes, that's going to reset the table. It's going to reset everything, because all of a sudden this is more powerful than we could imagine. So, I mean, even us who've been doing it for a while, I think the first time we log into ChatGPT 5, it's going to be like, oh my gosh, this is, and we're not going to understand it. And nobody's going to understand what it can do. So there's a lot of unknowns. I mean, if you just look at the pace of how quickly video has changed in the last 12 months alone, they were those silly Will Smith spaghetti videos from last summer that everybody thought was amazing. And now we see the Suno and we see the runway Gen 3 stuff or Gen 2 stuff. And it's going at a pace that's even hard for us who are paying attention to it to keep up. And so I don't really know what's going to happen. I mean, it seems like in my class, every week I have a title slide in the news this week, and I show 3 things that come out that are just amazing things, like Google's new Add Me feature with, you take the end of selfies, because I mean, you take a group shot and then you start asking, well, what's a photo? What's a video? What are we recording as something that happened? And so it's just going to open up a lot of different questions. And I fear that the tools are going to get kind of mixed up in all of the bigger issues, because I always try to keep those separate. I mean, we've got the tools that we need to use. And then it's kind of like in the 60s where everybody was worried about the robots taking over, because, they started putting robotics in factories and that never came about. Well, it's the same thing. Everybody's worried about Terminator coming now, and that's not going to come. Let's not put everything aside to worry about that.
Right. If we could just get a robot that could do the dishes. I mean,
I have heard that several times.
Fold the laundry. I mean, the real things we need.
Exactly.
So what specific use cases, I always end my interviews with this, what specific use cases are the most useful and helpful for you in your workflows and processes?
So this is going to sound really funny, but my team has put together a custom GPT called Ask Bart. And what they've done is they've taken my book, they've uploaded my book. They've, over the last 10 years, we have 600 blog posts. We've done a blog post every week for 10 years. So we have over 600 blog posts. They've uploaded all the Higher Ed Marketer podcasts, which is nearing 200 now. And so they have this custom GPT that basically they can go and ask a question about higher ed marketing and get pretty close to what I might say. And so I have been actually starting to use that in my workflow, where if I need to review something, or if somebody says, hey, here's a brochure, or here's some billboards, could you review these for us? I've gotten to the point now where sometimes I'll upload those PDFs into the Ask Bart GPT, get the summary of it, edit a few things, say, yeah, that's exactly what I would say. Yeah, I'll add a point or two to clarify it. And what might have taken me 2 or 3 hours, I can do in a few minutes now based on that technology that we've used. So it's kind of that digital twin type of thing that I think that people are talking about. So I've told people that just the idea that, you have knowledge, subject matter experts on campus, and, being able to, leverage that subject matter expertise into technology. It's not saying you're replacing those people, because a lot of people joke with me. They're like, it doesn't sound like you need to work anymore, Bart. I'm like, actually, no, that's not the attitude that I'm taking. I'm taking it as in a way to enhance my ability to do things, a little bit more efficiently. And so, so that's one of the use cases that we're playing around with and learning a little bit more. And so, yeah, that's those custom GPTs and the subject matter expertise is one of the things I'm finding useful.
Nice. So is that a public GPT? Is that on?
It is not.
Just go ask questions.
It's very much intellectual property that I don't want to get out in the public.
Fair enough. Well,
otherwise my kids won't eat. So.
Well, I get a lot of value out of your content. For users who want to connect with you, where's the best place that they can find you?
Probably LinkedIn is probably where I'm the most active. Just LinkedIn/Bart Caylor. It's pretty simple. There's only like one other Bart Caylor in the country, I think. So you won't have difficult finding me. And then obviously I'm open to email anytime. It's Caylor@Caylor-solutions.com. So those are probably the two best ways.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your insights, Bart. It's great to have you on the show.
Brian, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
What an epic conversation. The examples that Bart gave were the types of things every institution should be thinking about doing with AI. Taking existing content that you already have and converting it into formats like video that your students are more likely to consume is just a fabulous use of this technology. I loved Bart's advice to schools that they can alleviate the fear and resistance to change through education and awareness. Just showing people what these tools can do and how other people are using them can alleviate that fear and hesitancy. His thoughts on what's ahead in the AI landscape from a regulatory standpoint are certainly something to consider as we begin to integrate these tools and solutions into our workflows. We must remember that this technology still has a lot of issues around ownership, copyright, and fair use. And we need to keep that top of mind to avoid putting ourselves in difficult positions. It all comes down to getting started now with AI literacy and establishing a clear AI strategy to ensure that your institution leverages the technology to be more efficient and effective while being mindful of what's on the horizon. Please reach out to me with unique ways that you're integrating AI into your professional and personal lives. And as always, blue skies and keep creating. Thank you for listening to another episode of AI for You. I hope you found at least one useful thing you can take away and start adding to your workflows and processes today. Remember, the key to making the most of AI is to keep experimenting, keep learning, and of course, keep creating. AI for You is a part of the Enrollify podcast network. If you like this podcast, chances are you'll like other Enrollify shows too. Our podcast network is growing by the month, and we've got a plethora of marketing, enrollment, and higher ed technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks, all designed to empower you to become a better higher ed professional. Our shows help higher ed professionals find their next big idea and feature a selection of the industry's best as your hosts. Learn from Artis Kadu, Day Kibbles, Shane Baglini, and so many other of your favorite leaders in higher ed. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the next generation AI student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful and personalized interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com.